Hello and welcome back to Genesis Designs and Modelcraft, and today I have a quick look review for you on this, the brand spanking hot off the presses new Arma Hobby P-39 Airacobra. Bit of a surprise when they announced this, wasn't it? I think everybody, including me, thought they were going to do a Mustang, since the P-51 series is well established in 72nd scale, but no, they've done a P-39. And this arrived with me a few days ago, direct from Arma. The lovely Greg, apologies Greg, I still can't get my mouth around the way I'm supposed to say your name, sent me this and another Hurricane at my request, to be fair, the Sea Hurricane kit, because I like to do this one. So, first and foremost, expect to see both of these models in the relatively near future on the channel, but I'm going to do them in a slightly different format than I have previously. They will be single episode straight build videos without very much talking, more in the style of what some of the other YouTubers do, just for speed really. So anyway, let's have a look at this, shall we? I haven't looked in detail at this. I've had a quick squiz, but I've not had it out of the bags, so we're going on this journey together. Open the end opener, and you've got the lovely sturdy, get out, lovely sturdy cardboard tray that we must all be familiar with by now. One package of sprues, a little addition, and instructions. Now, before we get into the meat of this, I'd like to introduce you to Wildflower. Here she is. And this is a P-39 I built previously, obviously. Now this one is the Edward kit. One of their older offerings, and you know, with all that implies. This one was built from the box as a Profi pack. I've just added aerials and whatnot. And as much as the result is really rather striking and lovely, and I absolutely adore this model, this was not an easy build. The fit of the wing wasn't very good, and the fit around the, so to say, car doors with the canopy and the side of the fuselage was absolutely abysmal. And it cost me a great amount of time and effort to sort it out, although sort it out I very much did. But yes, this is an Edward P39, sorry, and it's also, this kit is readily available still from Edward in various versions. Great markings on this, really like it, really interesting build and a really interesting model to paint with all the different bits and pieces and the colours and the, you know, repairs and what have you. Really like it, and this is the only P39 I've ever built up to now, shortly to be joined by another. But the reason I've shown you that is to show you that there are sensible options out there already for the P39. Although we certainly are overflowing with good kits of the aircraft. The other one that is relatively easily available is a Hasegawa one. I've never actually seen or built that kit, so I can't really comment on it. Right then, let's get this out of here. Goodness me, bits and pieces. There. Move the transparencies out of the way. And here we are, two main frames. A smaller one, a piece has fallen off one of them. Right, so let's start with the wings, shall we? Figure out where that's dropped off of in a minute. Alright, this appears to be a nose door, and it's come from here. So, single span upper and lower wings. So that dihedral is going to be very much set up for you right from the get-go. We've also got some wheels and some drop tanks and a couple of propellers. Now let's look at this surface detail, because one of the things people are going to be interested in is whether or not Arma have carried on with the unfeasibly brilliant surface detail that the Hurricane featured? And the quick answer is no, they haven't. This one is much more conventional and looks a lot like something Edward might check out. Let's bring you up closer and you can see for yourselves, hopefully. Standard panel lines, a bit of sinkage here. I'll flip it over and you'll see why in a second, and a little bit of recessed sort of rivet type detail and faster type detail here and there. It is very, very nicely done though. It's not overdone, but equally nor is it underdone and liable to be hidden under an exuberant coat of paint. It's really nicely done. Reason for the sinkage on here, and for the record, I'm not too worried about this kind of thing for the most part. I won't be filling that because it just, you know, real wings are really ripply, so you'll get away with it. We've got moulded in wheelbase detail in that upper half. There is a small amount of flash on a lot of these edges, which is something that I think it's reasonable to expect a certain amount of this on the slightly smaller manufacturers' parts, and it's not a big deal at all, honestly. It's very easy to clean it up, and much of it will be dealt with during this standard sort of seam cleanup operations anyway. So that's the basic start. And then we got this one, this is frame B. Fuselage halves and various bits and pieces and detail parts. Again, standard surface detail, recessed panel lines and recessed sort of fastener detail. There's no real rivet detail on these. We've got some raised details on these, which I think may be the nose wheel base side panels. And equally little to no detail on the inside of the fuselage halves. Here's a look at the surface. It's very, very nicely done. We do have a sort of rib tape detail on the rubber, on the fabric covered parts, but it's quite restrained and within reason, and everything is nice and cleanly moulded. There's again a little bit of flash here and there, but not enough to be an issue. There are 3 separate upper noses included, because although the kit is labelled as the P-39Q, I believe it is possible to build any of the versions from the parts included in this kit. I'm a long way from a P-39 spurt, so I can't say from my own knowledge that that's the case, but I've read it. Another propeller here as well. And the third frame of parts here, much smaller, and obviously includes the internals. Again, all very neat, very competent, nothing sort of shouting out at you as being incredible, but it's certainly very good. The exhausts are not hollowed out at all. You've got the sort of standard 6 stub ones here and the mighty 12 pipe arrangement there. Some guns, undercarriage legs and such, and undercarriage doors. We also get a small pack here with some balls in it, just metal spheres, metal balls, and these are for nose weight, of course. Then this little errata sheet, to which are stapled a couple of Ziploc bags. So the errata appears to be concerned with the fitment of the internal arrangement there. No, it's not. It's talking about the fitment of the 3D resin printed scoops and the fact that I think the instructions probably show them to be fitted facing forward, whereas they need to be fitted facing backward. Included in this kit are 3D printed resin undercarriage doors, which are very, very thin. You can see clear through them. I think you probably can from that angle see right through that. And the aforementioned resin, hollowed out resin scoops. Note here, use this QR code, follow that for a free 3D printer file for a detailed seat with harness and other cockpit features. I will be contacting Mr. Manton forthwith to 3D print those parts for me, because I don't have a 3D printer. Okay, and transparencies finally. Here we go. Main canopy in one piece, as you might expect. An armoured windscreen, another armoured windscreen, a lens cover, and then separate doors with windows, which hopefully fit an awful lot better than the Edward ones do. It's no surprise that most of the Edward builds you see have got open doors. We've got the internal detail moulded onto them, although it's difficult to see obviously. And there's your main canopy. Very, very nice, lovely finish on it. The frames are raised slightly but sharply, they're not too blobby, and they've got this sort of satin finish on them as well. Very nicely done, and that does make them easier to see from the inside if you wish to mask the inside. I shall put that back in there straight away to avoid getting any scratches on there unnecessarily. Moving on to the instructions then. It's an A4 booklet in glossy paper. We've got history on the front page in English on the right hand side. We have sprue layouts, and we've got colour callouts which give us the relevant colours in Hataka, AK Real Colour, Humbrol Ammo, mission models for layout, and Tamiya. Very comprehensive. Let's get into this and see what we've got. Starting with the innards then, the representation of the back end of those nose mounted machine guns and the cockpit area, which also builds up onto include the nose gear bay as well. Note the prop shaft from the engine, literally a prop shaft in this case. You've got a little shelf there with moulded in divots to take these nose weights. Very, very nice inclusion. And very, very quickly you've got your fuselage together, and equally quickly there goes the wing, just trapping in this piece here just for these vents in the leading edge. Fill in the gun openings, it says at the top there. It does tell you in various places things that you need to drill and things that you need to fill, and also what you need to do for each marking option. There's the tail feathers going together and being fitted. You see here, don't use for painting, option 3. Fill this. Fill these for everything other than marking option 3. And here we are starting on undercarriage parts. Interestingly, we fit in the inner undercarriage doors first here, and the exhaust doors for the ducting from these radiators. then the nose gear. See that? Some cannon boats, and we've also got a bomb or a drop tank option there. Fit the main undercarriage, fit the gun pods, nose undercarriage doors. Now we've got a propeller, cockpit and doors, and then just fitting those last few parts. It's a very simple build, so it's just quite a simple kit. And that's us complete. Here we've got stencil information, and there appear to be quite a few. And then we're on to painting options. So the first one then, Devastating Devil. This is a P-39Q-1 of the 46th Fighter Squadron, 15th Fighter Group, at Macon in the Gilbert Islands, late 1943. Let me check what colour this is supposed to be. Coral sand over sky blue. There you go. The next one, it's got some big skull art on it. This is a P-39Q-10 of 363rd Fighter Squadron of the 357th Fighter Group. Pilot being Lieutenant Clarence Bud Anderson, stationed at Oroville, California in October 1943. Assuming that's a training unit. And this is olive drab over neutral grey. And the final option, again olive drab over neutral grey, but this time it's a Russian Lend-Lease job. P-39Q-15, and I don't know anything about Russian things, but it's 68 GIAP, 5 GIAD, winter 44-45. So relatively varied schemes. There are a lot of different schemes this aircraft wore, a lot. The ones that tend to turn my head are these. But I've already done one of these, so I'm going to have to do something different on this one. Okay, last but hopefully not least then, what have we got here? Decals and masks. So there's a mask sheet, and this covers, as best I can tell, the transparencies in the wheels, including that sort of landing lamp cover. Angle that so the light catches it. There you go. That is a relatively complete sheet to be included in a kit. Edward would probably be charging you £8 or so for that separately. And here we have the decals, printed by Cartograph. Very nice. I don't recall previous Arma Hobby decals being printed by Cartograph, but so that's a nice move. And we do indeed have a multitude of stencils there in the middle of the sheet. Then we've got decal seat harnesses. You may or may not agree that this is a good thing. I don't think it does any harm to have them as an option. Some internal placards, instrument panel, decals here, and some sort of stencil walkway sort of lines, including the main wing walkways and propeller stencils, and then obviously the main and national markings up there. Glossy, very, very crisply printed, very, very thin. It looks spectacular, if maybe a touch bright, but there you go. Very, very nice sheet indeed. So as a matter of interest, because I have this 72nd scale P-39 kit as well from Arma Hobby, I thought I'd have a quick look at it. Here it is, it's all in one piece, and I was struck, actually, and immediately struck by the similarity between the two. Now I'm not going to sit here and say that what Arma have done is literally upscaled the 72nd kit. Clearly they haven't. It's a different sprue layout, but close examination of the parts, one against the other, they are hugely similar. So if you already have the 72nd scale kit and you're wondering if it's worth getting the 48th scale kit, what I can say to you is the 48th, if you imagine the 48th scale kit as being an upscaled version of this, you're not going to be far off, if that helps. And here I can see what the errata sheet's all about. The moulded in scoop is in fact facing forward on this fuselage, where it is correctly facing aft on the 72nd scale kit. But yeah, some distinct similarities across the board here, and why wouldn't there be, frankly? Okay. Prices. The price of this kit then in the UK, where I am, seems like the retail price is along the lines of £37.99, £37.99. A quick Google shows it being available for around and just under £35 all over the place. At sort of £35 to £38, this is at the higher price, this is at the higher end of the scale for a model of this type, 48th scale single engine World War II fighter, but you do get included, there is an included pre-cut mask set. The decals are of a very high quality. You do also get some 3D printed resin accessories in the box, plus also that QR code to print extra 3D printed accessories, and on that basis I think it's definitely justified. The parts seem to me to be maybe a slight retrograde from the Hurricane. Potentially that's deliberate to keep the price down, but you shouldn't take from that these are bad. This is thoroughly competent throughout and should build up into a really lovely replica, and quite easily by the looks of it, and we'll find out very soon. Personally, I think it's fair enough. This seems to be roughly the price point for this type of kit nowadays, whether we like it or not. And it's becoming more of a thing to notice when things are cheap, or should I say better value, than when they're at the other end of the scale. I'm looking forward to cracking on and getting this built. It won't be next week, I'll tell you that now, but it will be relatively soon. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been helpful to you if you are considering buying this kit. Thank you very much, all of you, for your continued support in all of the ways that you give it. And with all of that said, I think it only remains for me to say, until next time, look after yourselves, look after each other, and Genesis out.